The council waited in silence for the humans to arrive. Elias entered calm and peaceful. Nothing looked wrong, but suddenly his predator trigger activated. He whispered, "Something is coming. Only humans can sense it." The Grand Council Hall was one of the most secure places in the galaxy. Its walls were made of crystal metal, glowing softly with blue light. Representatives from 10 alien species sat in a perfect circle. They were here for an important moment, their first full peace meeting with humanity. Many of them were nervous. Some were hopeful, but all of them were curious. Humanity was known for bravery, chaos, creativity, and danger. No one fully understood them. No one knew how they could rise from simple creatures to a rapidly growing power in only a few centuries. But today, the Council wanted peace, cooperation, and friendship. At the center of the hall, the door opened with a low hum. Commander Elias walked in. He was tall for a human, wearing a dark blue uniform with a silver emblem of Earth. His steps were steady, calm. His face showed no anger or pride, only respect. He bowed slightly to the council. Every alien watched him closely. Some leaned forward. Some whispered quietly in their own languages. The Varnak ambassador, covered in green scales, spoke first. "Human representative." "Welcome." Elias nodded politely. "I hope today brings understanding between our species." The council members relaxed a little. His voice was calm, warm, and polite. This was the human they wanted, peaceful, disciplined, civilized. But then, something changed. It started with a small sound. A faint click inside Elias's suit, barely noticeable. Then his breathing changed, slow, sharp, controlled. The lights above flickered. Strange tension spread through the air. Elias's eyes narrowed. His pupils shrank. His muscles tightened as if preparing for battle. The room temperature dropped, and every alien felt the same primal warning in their instincts. The predator trigger had activated. But why? No one had attacked. No threat was present. Nothing dangerous was in the hall. Yet Elias looked like a hunter awakening from deep sleep. The Ralter representative jumped to his feet. "Guards, secure the human." Blasters pointed at Elias from every corner. The hall filled with heavy footsteps and fear. But Elias did not move. He did not attack. He only stood there, breathing like a soldier preparing for war. His voice came out low and strained. "Stand down. This is not intentional." The council members looked confused and terrified. The Varnak ambassador hissed, "Human, you are activating your predator state in the council hall. Explain." Elias clenched his jaw as if fighting his own body. "This isn't me. This is a response to something else. Something else." Ask the blue-skinned Jora diplomat. "What do you sense?" Elias didn't answer immediately. His hands trembled slightly, but his eyes scanned the room, the ceiling, the floor, every detail. He wasn't looking for someone. He was looking for something. "The predator trigger never activates without reason," he said, "to evolve to protect humans from ancient enemies. It reacts before conscious thought." His voice dropped to a whisper, "which means something is wrong." The guards hesitated. Every alien knew humans had strange biology instincts that went deeper than logic. But to activate this ability without any visible threat was unheard of. The council chair, an old being with shimmering violet skin, asked carefully, "What do your senses tell you?" Elias breathed out slowly. "It's like pressure. A signal, a presence. I don't know how to describe it in simple terms." He placed a hand on his chest as if feeling something inside. "It is old. It is cold. And it is coming closer." The room fell silent. Aliens exchanged worried looks. None of their senses detected anything unusual. Their sensors were normal. Their scanners showed nothing. No ship, no weapon, no signal. Only the human felt it. The Xerian scientist touched her console. "We read no energy fluctuation, no radiation, no motion. Are you sure this is not a human emotional reaction? Elias's eyes flashed sharply. This is not emotion. This is survival instinct. And humans do not survive by accident. He stepped back, gripping the edge of the table as his predator trigger pushed harder. His voice dropped into a low, dangerous tone. Something is here. Something only humans can sense. The council members grew uneasy. Some wanted to flee, some wanted to attack, and some simply stared at the human with fear. Humans were already unpredictable, but this made them terrifying. The Xerian scientist tapped her console again. Still nothing. No signal detected. Elias shook his head. You won't detect it. Not yet. His breathing grew even more controlled. His posture sharpened. His eyes became cold and focused like a hunter's. Suddenly, a loud alarm exploded through the hall. Red lights flashed. A robotic voice echoed across the room. Warning: unknown object entering council system. All eyes turned to the massive holographic screen on the wall. An unidentified object had appeared at the edge of the star system. No origin, no signature, no communication. Just a black, shapeless form drifting slowly toward the council's capital. The alarms grew louder. The aliens panicked, and Elias finally relaxed a little. He looked at the screen and whispered, I told you. Something is coming. The council hall shook as the red alarm lights continued to flash. The glowing walls dimmed, and every hologram display flickered with distorted images. The once-calm meeting had turned into pure chaos. Council guards took cover. Officials shouted commands. Some alien species hid behind protective shields. But the only one who stood completely still was Commander Elias. His eyes were locked on the dark shape moving at the edge of the system. The hologram showed only a black mass, as if space itself had been torn open. No engines, no lights, no life signals. Just a silent shadow drifting closer. The Varnic ambassador pointed sharply at Elias. You knew something was coming. Did humans bring this here? Elias didn't look at him. No. Humans don't control this. We fear it. The alien hesitated. Fear flickered through his scaled face. The Xerian scientist checked 3 consoles at once. Her fingers trembled. No identification, no energy output, no propulsion. She swallowed. It's moving without moving. Impossible, the Jorah diplomat whispered. Nothing can drift through empty space with no force. Elias spoke softly. This thing can. Silence spread across the hall, not peaceful silence, but the kind that suffocates. The predator trigger inside Elias surged again. His heartbeat slowed unnaturally. His muscles tightened as if preparing for battle. Sweat formed on his forehead, but his eyes stayed sharp. The council chair, voice shaking, asked, Human, what exactly do you sense? Elias closed his eyes for a moment. He didn't see the hall. He saw darkness, cold, hunger. A presence that felt older than stars. Something that did not kill out of anger, but out of instinct. When he opened his eyes again, they were colder. That thing out there is not a ship, Elias said. It's a creature. Gasps and hisses filled the room. A few guards stepped back without realizing it. A creature the size of a cruiser. The Xerian scientist asked. No, Elias answered. Bigger. How much bigger? Elias didn't answer at first. He walked toward the giant hologram display. His predator trigger sharpened his senses, his thoughts, his instincts. It's sleeping, he said, finally. Or hiding. That black shape is not its body, only its shadow. The council members stared in horror. The Ralter warrior growled. Human, your words make no sense. Elias turned to him slowly. Predators don't need sense. They only need survival. The room fell silent again. The council had always thought humans were volatile creatures, quick to fight, quick to adapt. No one expected humans to become still, quiet, focused like this. "Explain," the council chair demanded. "Why does your species sense it when no one else can?" Elias exhaled slowly. "This is part of our ancient evolution. Long before humans had ships or technology, something hunted us, something that forced early humans to develop a defense instinct, a warning sense." The Xurian scientist tilted her head. "You mean this predator trigger?" Elias nodded. "Yes, this trigger is not just aggression. It's a response to a specific kind of threat, a hunter that doesn't show itself until it's too late." The Jora diplomat trembled. "You are telling us humans evolved because of that?" Elias stared at the hologram. "No, not this exact one, but something like it. Something with the same presence." The Varnic ambassador shook his head violently. "This is impossible. Humans are young. You have only existed for a few thousand." Elias cut him off quietly. "Some predators do not leave fossils. They leave fear." Those words chilled the entire room. Suddenly, the hologram glitched again. For a moment, just a moment, the shadow moved unnaturally, as if stretching. The Xurian scientist yelled, "It's absorbing light. It's feeding on the star's radiation." Elias's jaw tightened. "That means it's waking up." The council hall erupted. "Shut down the station. Move to battle formation. Evacuate the planet. Call the fleet." Elias snapped. "Stop." His voice boomed across the room, stronger than alarms. "If you panic, if you show movement, if you show energy, it will sense you." The council chair stared at him. "How do you know?" Elias turned slowly. "Because humans survived it that way. By staying still, by hiding, by becoming quiet predators instead of loud prey." The Jora diplomat whispered, terrified, "So humans became hunters. Because they were hunted first." Elias didn't deny it. Instead, he walked toward the center of the hall. His breathing slowed. His posture became controlled again. "This creature does not attack worlds alone," Elias said. "It hunts potential threats. Civilizations that grow too fast. Species that change the balance of space." "What balance?" the Varnock ambassador asked. Elias looked him straight in the eyes. "The balance that says only the oldest monsters are allowed to rule the dark." A cold realization hit the council. This wasn't a random event. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't even a war. This was a hunt. The Xurian scientist suddenly froze. "It changed direction," she whispered. "The object is turning toward us." Her screen showed the shadow's slow but deliberate movement. It's coming for the council station." Elias closed his eyes. His predator trigger pulsed so strongly he had to grip the table for support. "The closer it gets, the clearer I can feel its intent." "And what does it want?" the council chair asked, voice trembling. Elias opened his eyes. Life, fear, silence. He took a slow breath. "And it knows there is something new here. Something alien to it." "What?" Elias pointed at the council. "All of us together. Different species sharing one place. That has never happened before. To this creature, this is a threat." The hall grew colder. Even the glowing walls dimmed further. "And humans?" the Jora diplomat asked carefully. "What are we to it?" Elias looked down for a moment. Then his voice became almost a whisper. "To this creature, humans are the only prey that ever escaped." The shock rippled across the entire council. Before anyone could respond, alarms exploded again. "Critical alert, unknown object has accelerated. Impact trajectory confirmed." The council panicked, and for the first time, Elias's predator trigger reached full activation. His eyes went sharp like blades. His voice dropped to a deadly calm. "It's not here to destroy the station. He looked toward the dark shape, now rushing closer. It came because it sensed humans. The council chair whispered, horrified, "Then why is it attacking us?" Elias finally answered with a cold truth, "Because to reach me, it must go through you." The unknown shadow moved faster than any natural object. One moment it drifted at the edge of the system. The next, it surged forward with impossible acceleration. The hologram struggled to keep up as the image warped and bent around the creature's presence. The council hall shook again, this time not from alarms, but from something deeper. A vibration that felt alive. A sound that wasn't a sound, but a pressure in the bones. Some aliens cried out and held their heads. Others collapsed to one knee. Even the walls flickered as if the creature's presence drained the very light away. Only one being stood firm. Commander Elias. His predator trigger surged to its peak. His skin felt cold. His heartbeat slowed until it sounded mechanical. Every instinct in him sharpened toward one truth. This was the same kind of predator that shaped humanity's evolution. The Zurian scientist gasped and gripped her console. Station sensors. They're failing. All readings are dropping. The Varnic ambassador roared, "Defend the station. Fire weapons." But the council chair shook their head weakly. "We cannot fire blindly. We cannot even see the creature's true form." Elias spoke without turning from the screen. "You won't see it until it wants to be seen." The entire hall fell silent at those words. Moments later, the hologram changed. Not a clean image. No. The creature broke through the scanners like oil mixing with water. Static, distortion, and shadows twisted into something half-visible. A massive shape emerged on the display. Long, limb-like, stretching across space in impossible angles. The creature had no clear body, only a shifting mass of darkness. But its eyes, they were eyes glowed with cold, hungry light. The Jorah diplomat whispered in terror, "It sees us." Elias nodded slowly. "Ah, and now it knows exactly where we are." The Zorian scientist shrieked, "It's not just seeing us, it's scanning our minds, our memories." Council members panicked. Some shields activated. Others shouted for backup. A few simply froze, unable to think through the mental pressure crushing down on them. Elias felt it too, an ancient pressure, a predator's curiosity, probing the hall. But the predator trigger pushed back, shielding him, sharpening him. The Ralter warrior barked, "Human. What is this creature? Tell us now." Elias responded with a voice calmer than anyone expected. "It's called a Void Stalker." That name alone sent a wave of fear through the aliens. The Varnak ambassador hissed, "We have no record of such a species." "You wouldn't," Elias said, "because it leaves no survivors." The hologram flickered again. The Void Stalker opened something like a mouth, though there were no teeth, no lips. Just an expanding hole in reality. A deep, low hum filled the hall. Not from speakers, not from machines, from space itself. The Zurian scientist choked out its draining power. Across the entire station, lights dimmed, screens died. The planet below flickered like a candle. Even the stars' glow weakened slightly. Elias whispered, "It's feeding." The council chair forced out words through trembling lips. "Human. How did your species survive such a monster?" Elias finally turned to face them. "We didn't defeat it. We escaped it. We hid, and it followed us across generations until humans evolved something new to survive this trigger." He tapped his chest. This instinct was born from fear. The aliens stared at Elias with new understanding and new terror. If humans were shaped by this creature, what did that say about humanity? Suddenly, boom, the entire station rocked violently. The creature had reached the outer shields. Screams echoed through the hall as many fell from their seats. Cracks spread across the crystalline floor. Sparks rained from the ceiling. A guard shouted, "Shields are falling. We cannot hold it back." The council chair yelled, "All ships retreat." Another guard screamed, "They can't. Communications are gone." Elias looked at the hologram. The Void Stalker was about to break through. His voice turned into a command cold, sharp, human. "Listen to me now." The council froze. Elias continued, "You cannot outrun it. You cannot hide from it. You cannot fight it with weapons. Your technology means nothing to it." The room grew colder as he spoke. "But humans can stand against it because we know how it thinks." The Jorah diplomat trembled. "You claim to understand this nightmare." Elias nodded. "Yes, because this creature is a hunter. And humans are the only prey that ever learned how to hunt back." The Xerian scientist stared at him. "So what do we do?" Elias pointed to the dark ceiling as the station shook again. "We make it come inside." The entire council shouted in panic. "Sane! Suicide! You want to let that thing in." Elias shouted back louder. "Out there, you are blind. In here, I can read it." His predator trigger pulsed again. He could feel the creature's movements, its intent, its hunger, its weaknesses. The Ralter warrior grunted. "What weaknesses?" Elias answered simply. "It hesitates. It studies prey before killing it. That gives us time." The council chair stared at him. "Time for what?" Elias stepped forward. His voice lowered. "Time for humans to fight the way we were built to fight. Not with ships, not with lasers, but with instinct." Before they could ask another question, crack boom, the outer shields collapsed. The lights shut off completely. The station dropped into total darkness. A single high-frequency screech echoed through the halls, vibrating through every bone. The Void Stalker had entered the station. Emergency red lights flickered on for half a second, enough to show something horrifying. A tall, shadow-like limb sliding through the ceiling. Then another, and another. The creature was inside the walls. The Xorian scientist screamed. It breached the inner ring. It's moving through the vents. Elias's eyes sharpened. "It's searching for me." "Why you?" The Varnak ambassador cried. Elias didn't look away from the shifting shadows above them. "Because I am the only one here whose fear it understands." The council hall shook again. The Void Stalker tore through the corridor outside the metal walls bent inward like paper. Dark smoke spilled into the hall. The temperature plunged. The lights flickered violently. Elias spoke to the council one last time before the creature broke through. "Prepare yourselves. You are about to see humanity the way the universe first saw us." Boom. The wall behind the hall exploded inward. A massive shadow loomed, stretching, changing, reaching. The Void Stalker's true form slid into the council hall, filling the space with darkness. And Elias stepped forward, ready to meet the monster that had created humanity's deepest instinct. The council hall was gone, or at least it no longer felt like a hall. The walls bent inward like soft metal. Red emergency lights flickered weakly, unable to hold back the darkness crawling in. A cold wind, not real wind, but something like breath, moved through the room. And there, in the broken entrance, the Void Stalker entered fully. It stretched across the ceiling, its body a long river of shadow, its limbs bent at unnatural angles. Its eyes glowing white voids moved with slow, terrible intelligence. Every alien froze where they stood, unable to breathe or think. The creature was not physical in the normal sense. It looked like something half alive and half dream, shifting between shapes, sometimes like smoke, sometimes like bone. Then it spoke. Not in words, not in sound, but directly into their minds. A whisper of hunger, a thought of cold, a message that said only one thing: fear. Dozens of council members collapsed instantly, clutching their heads. Some convulsed, others passed out. Even the strongest warriors trembled violently, but in the center of the hall, Commander Elias remained standing. His predator trigger was fully active, his heartbeat slow and powerful, his breath sharp and controlled, his stance steady like steel. The Voidstalker lowered one enormous limb toward him, curious. It tilted its head, examining the human like a scientist studying an ancient puzzle. Elias whispered, "You remember us? Don't you?" A vibration shook the room almost like a growl. The creature responded, not in words, but a flood of images forced into everyone's mind. Humans huddled in caves, darkness moving through ancient forests. A glowing-eyed monster stalking early humanity, fire failing to push it back. Humans screaming in moonlit nights and moonlit surviving. The council gasped as the mental projection ended. Elias finally spoke the truth. You hunted early humans. For thousands of years, you shaped us. The monster's eyes dimmed, then glowed brighter. Elias continued, you chased us. You killed us. You pushed us, and because of you humanity learned how to fear the dark, and how to fight it. The Voidstalker leaned closer. Its face twisted, almost as if amused. The council chair, barely able to speak, whispered, human. What is it doing? Elias answered without looking back. It's trying to understand why humans escaped it. Why our ancestors survived. Another image filled their minds. Humans hiding in silence, breathing slowly, waiting for the creature to pass. Elias narrowed his eyes. And now it wants to finish what it started. The Voidstalker moved suddenly. FWOOOM, a massive tendril whipped toward Elias at impossible speed. The council screamed. But Elias stepped aside with precise instinct, the tendril smashing through a column behind him. Debris exploded everywhere. Elias didn't flinch. His voice grew colder. You're fast. But instinct is faster. The creature attacked again 2 limbs, then 3, then 6 blades of shadow slicing through air. Each strike could split steel. Each strike could crush a ship. But Elias moved through them like water. Not dodging, randomly moving, exactly where survival demanded. His predator trigger was reading every motion, every vibration, every shift in air pressure. The council could not believe what they saw. A single human, dancing through the attacks of a cosmic predator. The Ralter warrior whispered in awe. He moves, like he can see the future. The Xerian scientist trembled. No. He is reading the beast. The human instinct is predicting every move faster than conscious thought. The Voidstalker grew frustrated. Its attacks doubled in speed. Dark limbs slammed into the floor, cracking it open. Shadows spread across the hall, turning machinery into dust. Elias kept moving. He kept breathing. He kept watching. Finally, he shouted, Council, get behind the reinforced barrier now. The half-conscious aliens crawled toward the back of the room, dragging each other while Elias drew the creature's full attention. The monster's glow intensified. Its eyes widened. It had found a potential threat. It leaned closer, bringing its face inches from Elias. Elias looked back without fear. I know your weakness, he whispered. The Voidstalker paused. Then, for the first time, it hesitated. Elias stepped forward slowly, predatory. You assume fear makes us weak? He placed a hand on his chest, but fear made humans stronger. The creature's eyes dimmed. Elias raised his voice. You hunted our ancestors until fear became part of our bones, until instinct became our weapon. You created humanity's greatest strength. The council members watched from behind the barrier, stunned. Elias continued. You don't understand humans, because you never killed us all. Enough survived. Enough evolved. And now his eyes sharpened like a knife. Your hunt ends here. The Voidstalker roared. Not a sound, a psychic blast. Every alien screamed as their minds shook. But Elias pushed forward. His predator trigger activated fully, fighting the psychic pressure with raw instinct. His eyes burned with determination. He reached under a broken console and pulled out a Wepena compact human-made shock lance, designed to overload energy-based organisms. The creature sensed danger. Lunged. Elias surged forward. Boom crack C, ZZZ, TTT. The shock lance pierced the Void Stalker's limb. A massive scream filled the hall, not with sound, but with psychic agony. The creature recoiled violently, pulling away as its limb dissolved into black vapor. For the first time, the Void Stalker bled. Elias shouted, "It can be hurt." Its physical form reacts to high-charge energy. The Zurian scientist scrambled to her console. "We can amplify that. The station has emergency power cells." The council chair yelled, "Divert everything to the hall." Lights returned for a moment. Panels opened. A loud hum filled the air. The Void Stalker roared and struck again. Elias rolled aside, barely avoiding a limb that shattered the floor. The creature was angry now, furious. But Elias pressed his advantage. He jumped onto debris, ran up a broken pillar, and launched himself straight at the monster. His shock lance glowed bright white. He drove it into the creature's core. Crash! A burst of energy exploded outward. The creature screamed a terrible, echoing cry that shook stars. Its body twisted, shrinking, dissolving into vapor. The hall's darkness lifted slowly, painfully. And then the Void Stalker collapsed into nothingness. Only silence remained. The lights slowly returned. The temperature rose. The council stared at Elias, bloodied, shaking, exhausted but still standing. The Varnock ambassador whispered, "Humanity defeated a god." Elias shook his head. "No. We defeated a predator. Nothing more." The council chair stepped forward, voice emotional. "You saved us all. You saved the galaxy. Your species is far more than we believed." Elias finally let out a slow breath. Humans were never the danger. We were the answer to the danger. The council members bowed, not out of fear, but out of respect. Elias looked at the empty space where the Void Stalker had died. "The day you saw our predator trigger," he said softly, "is the day you understood why humanity exists." He turned to the council. "To stand between the galaxy and the monsters that shaped us." If you enjoy HFY stories, please like the video and subscribe. More epic stories are coming.